At last. Hey, hey! Sorry for keeping us, everybody. We're about 6 minutes past our scheduled start. And it's because there was so many as wanting to come in, and I appreciate to see you all here tonight. So everybody, thanks very much for coming out. 26 years of the NYAH Festival. Jesus, that's good. And we're still making music, song and dance. And tonight's a special show because there's an amazing amount of talent to come out. So thanks again. Make yourself comfortable. Watch for the fire exits where you come in on your left-hand side there, left and right, and at this door as well on the right. Hopefully we won't need them. And if you want to take a photograph or a short video, any musicians, that's okay as well. We don't mind. None of us are on the dole, so you can take videos. And in the middle of all that, it's Kid Mila Fáilte. First to start, the pipes and the flute. And we've a wonderful young talent here from Drung in County Cavan, Niall and Sean Curran. Come on out, men. And Shane Carroll is up there doing the sound tonight. He's a great friend of the music, a performer himself and an artist, so you'll have a lovely experience listening to the music. The setting here is lovely, 100 years plus this building, so we're lovely to get in here. We enjoyed the years we started off in St. Augustine's Hall was the very first concert I ever run, imagine, St. Augustine's Hall, which has been renovated. Now we get a chance to come here once a year, and thanks to Cavan County Council, to the Arts Office, of course, the Arts Council, wonderful supporters of our work. And these young men, these are the future, very important to reward the future. As the late Seamus Fay always said, if they're minded. And it's very important that you do your job and I to mind them and encourage them. So that's why we do here. The good-looking one in the pipes, is that what you said to say? Yeah, the good-looking one is the piper. Sean Curran on the piper, and the wonderful young Niall. They're not twins, but they're wonderful musicians. They're future at Cavan. Well done, lads.
How's it going, everyone? You're all very welcome to the NYAH concert. We're going to start the thing off here. We're just going to play one set of reeds. The first one is called The Ash Plant, and I learned that of Damien Bannon. He used to teach me the pipes. And the second one is called, I think it's called The Heather Breeze. It's Black Hill Pond and Little Lot, so that's where I learned it. And the last one's called Donald Blue, and I learned that of Peter McCann. I'll give it to the last. Thanks very much.
That's a mighty start to any concert. Lovely music, playing great music, and a part of a great County Cavan development of young people that are coming through. All of them with lots of talent. And the Gantry show last weekend showed that wonderful musicianship and a new breed of talent coming through, new faces, which was great to see. So I think it's great to see that. And throughout the region, I know both Monaghan and Cavan are very strong at the moment, music generation. So they're away at the moment. We've apologies from some parents and kids that are away playing in Dublin and Belfast with Martin O'Connor and Zoe Conway. So lots to look forward to in the years ahead. Another talent, all the way from Cavan Town, I can say, is Auntie Maura McEntee would have made tea for me at my very first session. She's sitting down there. Her late husband, Paddy McEntee, was the founder of the Cavan Town branch, along with Joe Baxter, and Jim Taylor, and Pat Cassidy, and all the great men. And they kept that music alive in my time when I was a 12 and 13-year-old coming in here to the side room in the town hall. Now, this is Padraig Conroy, a star pupil of mine down to the years, a wonderful young player. Now at college in Galway, but he can play music. Padraig Conroy, everybody. And thanks again to Fintan McManus, the great composer of The Wind That Blows, for the radio listeners that are here tonight. That's Fintan McManus there with his bum to you. I'm not sure if they say bum in Fermanagh or arse, I'm not sure which. And Nancy Nacushla is here from Radio Negatric, and I'm not sure what the Irish is for arse, but she'll tell us if we ask, while she gives out to me. So, Pádraig's a wonderful young exponent. Reels or jigs, Pádraig? What are you going for?
Reels. The Fairy and Paddy Fahis.
Pádraig Conroy.
Mahad. Great stuff there from Porrick, Michael Conroy. Cachu Wilship, Wilship Fad Gama. Martin Donahoo's having a little nap out the back, so he asked me to introduce the next set of musicians. And it's lovely the way Martin brings the young musicians into his concerts, and he does great work with the CCE in NYAH. Is that the right way to say it, Martin? The NYAH. And he does great work with the young people, and he gives them the stage, which is great, and it gives them a great start. So we saw 2 sets of them earlier, and now we have another young lad here who I've been recording for the radio show for a few years at the Flas, and it's lovely to see these young musicians coming in when they're about 12 and 13 and playing a few tunes, and then you see the development and the great style coming out, and that's true for Barry Connaughey here. Not only is he a flute player, but a great piano player as well. And it's lovely now that he's teaching in Dublin, and I'm sure he's passing on some of that expertise to the students. Barry has played on lots of stages and played for the Pope as well, I believe. So he's going to play for ye tonight, so you're very privileged. Barry Connaughey, a great All-Ireland champion on many occasions, and to accompany him we have the great Fintan McManus here, another composer and a great musician and a great technician as well, who's helped me at the NYAH festivals over the years. So a bullabus for Barry Connaughey and Fintan McManus.
Hello everybody, how's everybody doing? Hope we're all having a nice St. Patrick's Day weekend. And thanks to Nancy there for that lovely introduction. I'll start off with a few jigs that myself and Fintan will play. The first one is called Eddie Kelly's, and it's a tune which will be associated with the kind of the East Galway style of music. And it's one I got from a recording of Breda and Claire Cavan, 2 sisters and really fine exponents of that East Galway style. And the second one is a great kind of fiddle flute tune from the Sligo style then, and it is called the Creel of Turf, or the Basket of Turf. It's great to have Fintan here playing with me. It's a lot easier when you have a fantastic backer like Fintan, and we've been playing together for many years, Fintan, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
Down through the years at the NYAH Festival, and I suppose just to take this opportunity as well to thank Martin and the whole team and everyone here for organising yet another amazing concert and night, as he does nearly every year or many times throughout the year. But I think we should give Martin a big round of applause for all he does for music in Cavan. So I'll just finish off now with two reels. The first one is a tune called Over the Bog Road, and then I'll finish that up then with a tune called Sweet Biddy of Ballyborny. So, Gurmeel Magov.
Lovely music. Barry Connerty on the Codric Moor. And the mighty Fintan McManus, beautiful accompaniment, great music, and as I say, a star at television last Sunday. Himself and young Isaac Scanlon played beautiful hornpipes, finished up with a lovely Clare tune, and beautiful together. Great music. Ballyhays men, so great tradition. I know Rita Duggan's down here somewhere tonight, a mighty woman. The Fay family well represented. Eileen here tonight as well. Of course, we remember Seamus and all that, because you would have remembered the starting of all these youngsters in the Cavan town Kyotis and their early years, 12, 15 years ago. And you'd be so happy to see how they've matured into wonderful young musicians. So well done. We're going to have a song, a young talent all the way from Mullahorn in County Cavan, and Anton McGowan country. And she's part of a large family of music and song and dance, the O'Reilly clan, very popular on the wireless. And she heads off next weekend to the National Concert Hall, where her group are in the final. So singing or standing, are you going to sit down or stand? You'll stand. But here, we'll get this here for you. So a champion at underage, and she's still only a young lady at college in Dublin, but one of our great ambassadors in the NYAH Cavan is here. Traditional songs and contemporary, and wonderful whistle player as well. And it's always a pleasure to have her on a stage or in our company at a session, the wonderful Hannah O'Reilly.
Thank you. I'm going to sing a song called Aaron Grow McCree. At the setting of the sun, when my long day's work was done, I rambled down the seashore for a walk, and I being all alone, I sat down upon a stone for to gaze on the ceilings of the yard. Oh, then Erin Grom O'Cree, you're the only land for me. You're the fairest that my eyes did e'er behold. You're the bright star of the west. You're the land St. Patrick blessed. You're the dear little isle so far away. It broke my mother's heart that day that I depart. Will I ever see my dear folks anymore? Not until my bones are laid in this cold and silent grave, in that dear little isle so far away. Oh, then Erin Grom O'Cree, you're the only land for me. You're the fairest that my eyes did e'er behold. You're the bright star of the west. You're the land St. Patrick blessed. You're that dear little isle so far away. On a cold, cold winter's night, with the turf fire burning bright, and the snowflakes falling on a winter's day, and when Patrick's Day it comes, and the shamrocks will be born, in that dear little isle so far away. Oh, then Erin Grom O'Cree, you're the only land for me. You're the fairest that my eyes did e'er behold. You're the bright star of the west. You're the land St. Patrick blessed. You're that dear little isle so far away. Thank you.
Well done, young Hannah. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We get our musicians out because Hannah is heading off to Killishandra. There's a wonderful trad fest on this weekend there as well. John Cosgrove and the clan are keeping the songs and music and the dance alive and well down in beautiful Killishandra. And of course, all in memory this weekend of Ted Sweeney, Who'd have thought? And Ted was hoping to be here tonight because he's a wonderful fan of James Kelly and a wonderful fan of Mick O'Connor. And he knows Peter Maguire very well. But did we think that less than a week ago we'd be burying Ted Sweeney? So that's why these nights are precious. Just bring the mics over that way, Anton. No, we'll go over towards you. Over to you. There's young Anton McGowan. This boy's from Mullahorn. We talked about them earlier. Mighty footballer, Anton, isn't that right? He was a great man for the football. He used to say, Anton, warm up there, you're coming off. He's always picking on me, Cavan Gales, you see. I love when the Gales were against Mullahorn. Now, we can't have anyone tripping here because we have one of the great grannies of dance coming out here. We have all friends in the music, but one of my greatest friends from the days I ever started was a lovely lady by the name of Marion Crowe, or Marion O'Reilly from Milltown, County Cavan. And herself and Declan for years have been friends, and their kids grew up in my company. And one of our award recipients tonight is a wonderful lady called Marion Crowe. And we do Jig Awards all the time. We started them from Ben Lennon, Finbar Dwyer, Joe Burke, a who's who. One of the first ones I ever done was Liam O'Flynn, believe it or not, down in Ballyhue House. And it's wonderful that one of our first recipients tonight is a wonderful fan. There's lots of people out there owe a lot of gratitude to the wonderful lady herself, Marion Crowe. Heart of gold, heart of gold. And Declan, who puts up with her, he has 2 hearts of gold. Because me and him have often spent nights trying to get her out of places. But one thing Marion loves is the music and the song, and she's full of the dance. So if anybody deserves the jig of life, it'd be nobody better than Marion Crowe. And she's going to showcase the Crowe clan. So I'm going to ask them to come out here. We have a gathering, and come on out here, the Crowe clan. We have all ages here, and take a bow. Let's have a look at them all here, gathered round the side. There's Mr. and Mrs. here. Yo. Porrick's here as well. Young Porrick Conroy here with us as well. I'll get me accordion. So you're in for a treat, and as I say, you can take photographs and videos. I know you're not supposed to normally in the theatre, but sure, the NYAH breaks all the rules. Derry Scanlon and myself worked at many flas, so we did, and Jack Keys used to say, do you ever ask permission? I says, no, I always look for forgiveness. And that's how it worked, because we wouldn't want to ask permission. Marion, what are we dancing? Have we arranged a lovely dances? Who are some of these lovely people with us tonight?
Oh, well, there's a Crowe clan, and my husband Declan, daughter Denise, George, brother-in-law, daughter Katrina, and her son Shane, sister-in-law Terry, brother-in-law Brendan, and 4 grand. Oh Lord, there's more than 4. Kaelin, Caelan, Kate, Sabine, Abby, and Finn. Wow. Grandchildren. Yes.
Isn't that an amazing achievement? One woman, the dance master herself.
A murder of Crowe.
And we could have another 5 or 6 sets, because there was a wonderful Cayley last Sunday. The Temple House trio came down. It even managed to get Liz and Philip Clark out, even though Liz says he still never danced. But Philip and I had to go just to hear the band, and there's lots of that planned. The backyard, Terry Crowe on your left-hand side, herself and Brendan Love, a lovely art centre out there, has supported us for many years. And the Cayley was just powerful. Loads of dancers, and Marion does it every Wednesday night with Shan Nose and with the set dancing. So we're going to ask Anton McGowan here to lead away with a blast of reels. Don't stop now, don't stop. Porrick's there on the accordion, Philip Clark's on the keyboard, and a young lad from outside Granard, a young lad called Eamon McGivney. Give a boola bus. All the way from beautiful Granard, and we'll play some tunes together. Lovely, 3 times each. 3 times each. That's the ball. We can keep her left. As I say, oh God, we're out of breath. We're out of breath watching her, aren't we? Isn't she a mighty woman? The great Marion Crowe, everybody, and her family. Wonderful Crowe family, the Riley family, every family. Terry, a great friend of ours. That's a daughter, Mick Higgins, the famous football man from Cavan we owe so much to. And Terry and Marion, I take them always together because they have to put up with me on a regular basis. But it's wonderful. I'm going to call on Nancy Nacushla to come out here now and to present her beautiful Jig of Life Award to the wonderful Marion Crowe, everybody. No better paid. You get out to the middle there, girls. This is specially commissioned here. And I know Declan is here with us. There's Declan in the middle, girls. Have a look down at Declan. Here, Marion, down there. Go a bit forward. We have to keep, in 100 years from now, they'll be looking at these photographs. You're not, what's wrong? Just, come on out here. There's the man to blame for it all. We're very lucky we're here. We have Declan here tonight, and we have Macklin Video as well, recording all for memories. Marion and Nancy Nacushla from Radio na Gaeltacht presenting it.
I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for being here. I'll take this award on behalf of dance. I fell madly in love with set dancing and wanted to get it going up at 36 years ago. And it's been going ever since. And we then went into a bit of shadows. And I want to thank dance really for the joy and the love it gives you and the fun, because we do it for fun. And thank you very much. And thanks to all the dancers that have come through the class over the years, hundreds of them probably, but we've had great fun dancing, and thank you very much. And it's nice to get an appreciation of the fun. It's all about fun dancing. It's good for your soul.
Great heart, she's a great heart. Well done, and all the lovely dancers there, all ages there, sharing it. And as I say, Marion teaches it on a regular basis on Wednesday nights. Shane is very good. He numbered the mics because he's fed up with me putting them in the wrong order. So he got a big marker and he wrote 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I've lost 2. Wherever the fuck is it? Here, 3. Here are Shane. I'm going to stick our next wonderful artist who's been part of this team for years and years. A wonderful supporter to us. A lady that broadcasts on Radio na Gaeltacht. And there's many as there lie in bed like Eamon Maguire listen to her on a Sunday morning. And Seamus Faye and Donald Faye loved Nancy Nacushla, and they never stopped listening to her. And we're always thankful that when she comes over here to our concerts or to events in Kinlalek for Dr. Galligan Kyotis, she's recorded the great John Fox and Philip Clark and Peter Leddy. She's taken everybody and broadcast it. She's a fan of the accordion music from her parents, and of course Fergus Bogue and all the players always get great publicity, and we owe an awful lot to Nancy Nacushla. On the flute. Come on, Nancy. You happy? You want to go a bit nearer? Philip, you happy there? And she's going to be accompanied on the keyboard by the man himself, Master Clark from Kinlalek. Come out here, young Philip. Are you going to stand up or sit down? You want to sit down? Yeah, sure. He's wearing a lovely jacket there he got from Bernard O'Sullivan for his 70th birthday. And it's a lovely, I think it was worn by Laura's just once. But he's with us tonight. Himself and Nancy are great friends. And as I say, always a pleasure, everyone. You're in for a treat. This is All-Ireland champion and the pure drop, Nancy Nacushla.
Margaret Martin, thanks so much. Lovely introduction there. I'm going to start with the slow air, actually, because my predecessor that used to come here to the NYAH, he passed away last January. That's Matty Joe Hamish. You probably know him over the years. He spent many nights and recording music here, so I'll play this in his memory. And as it happens, I'll play it in memory of a young lad we buried today in Connemara, and he's the son of our technician, Seamus O'Martha. Evan, he was only 21. So, Sweetness on Fadi Royd. No, this was composed by Michael Hines, a flute player from County Clare. And after that, I'll play Frank Roach's favourite, Gurmagi.
you very much. Got a meal mahag Philip Freshen, as John look on the horse, thanks to Philip. He's often accompanied me at these occasions at the NYAH. And I forgot to say as well that it was Matty Joe Hamish, that put me playing the flute. He brought me a flute when I was around 13 years of age, and he came to the house and he says, he got one for himself and he gave me the other one, and he said, you go practicing on that. Only for that I was destined for the Uskli Kewell, I think, because my dad was a box player, so only for that I'd probably be playing the box. So that was the end of the box. My dad wasn't too happy. So I'll finish up with two reels. First one is John Brennan's, or the Thatcher's Mallet as well, and the second one is George White's favourite. Mag Philip.
Well done, young Nancy there. Always a friend. Wonderful music there. And as I say, we are so much indebted to Nancy for all the work she does for everybody, not just for us, but throughout the whole country and beyond. She was over at the Return to Camden Festival, and she's there making music for everyone. Young Brian is here from County Leitrim. Ahavas country. Is that right, Brian? Will we say Ahavas? I spent many years with Joe Gormley travelling around there to Clune, Ballinamore. Joe was the Leitrim man living in Cavan, and he brought me down there regularly for sessions. Finton made his journey down there as well. I was lucky to meet a lot of the greats, including his father, Michael, and all the greats down there, John P. Bleston, etc. So we're in for a treat. We have a lovely piece of piping coming up now, so we have, and some harp and some concertina. So I was lucky enough to be in Mullahorn and came into the apostolic concert there that Bernie and Antoine run on a regular basis, 50 plus years, and on stage when I came in was the trio. So it was a lovely start to any show when you arrive in and hear this beautiful music. So some selections for us in tribute to Peter Maguire. Peter is a wonderful friend. He's another recipient who's going to join the crew here for some music. But first of all, some selections. And Brian will introduce you to the ladies, his daughters, multi-talented. And another one there just for vocals, maybe just that one there. For vocals. Oh, you can definitely go.
I can turn this one up. Your branch, Martin. Super. Okay, thanks a million, Martin. And thanks for the lovely introduction. It's great to be part of your festival yet again. We're going to play a few tunes. It's our daughter Anya, my wife Rita in the audience there, Anya and Roshan. So we're going to play a number of tunes. I learned my piping from Peter Maguire, who you will meet and hear in a few moments, but as a warm-up, if you like. We're going to play a few selections. And the first is a couple of jigs that go back to my early days learning music. So we're right back to the early 80s, and a very fine group called Fisher Street in County Clare, made up mostly Clare musicians, recorded these beautiful two jigs. And the first one is called Helvic Head, and the second one is called The Trip to Killarney. Thanks, Martin. continue with an air that I learned from, for me, it was a wonderful role model in Irish traditional music, the late Sean Potts. I don't need to say much about him. But this air that he composed called Quibnum Fibra, to me, just captured for me the essence of the music of the man and the personality of the man. And I'm here tonight, thankfully, to pay tribute to the great Peter Maguire, and I think why not have a tune with a name that has Piper in it. And my daughters will join me, Roisin's switching over to harp. We're going to play a tune that was turned up in the manuscript, the Greer manuscript, which is Stephen Greer, who was from Longford but lived in South Leitrim. And we're talking about back in the mid-1800s to late 1800s. Thankfully, all of his music is now digitised, though it wasn't a publication in itself. The Irish Traditional Music Archive now have it all available online. So this is one of the tunes out of it, and it's a version of Jenny's Welcome to Charlie.
Thank you.
you. We're going to round off our little selection here with a few reels. First two tunes, Kitty Gone a Milking, followed by The Milliner's Daughter. I'm finishing with a tune I learned from my dad, and a tune that's often known as the Leitrim Bucks, and my dad calls it the Leitrim's Greg's Pipes, a version of it. Anyway, so 3 reels. Just going to check tuning if you don't mind.
Wonderful trio there, wonderful. Roisin, Anya and Brian McNamara. Beautiful stuff. We're going to call out Anton McGowan here, first of all. Anton from Mullahorn. And he's going to say a few words in appreciation of a great Mullahorn man. So Anton, of course, a lifetime involved with traditional music and song and dance, and he knows everything about Peter Maguire.
This is handier than holding a mic. How are you going there? Are we going all right up here? Good, good. Well, it's good to get a chance of saying a few words about a fellow Mullaghorton man, Peter Maguire. And Peter grew up in a musical, well, I would say a music household. His home in Mullaghorton was what we'd call a Caelian house, where the neighbours called in. So there was chats, there was talks, there was stories, there was songs, and there was tunes, and that would go on 3 or 4 or 5 nights a week. And his father played a bit on the fiddle and a bit on the whistle, but he had a great collection of songs, so there was always a bit of singing going on. And Peter was influenced by those people, and I'll say that he mentioned a few people, the local musicians at that time, that came there and that lived there: Hughie McNaboe, Peter Donohoe, Jimmy Shorten, John Brady, and Hudie Brady. Hudie Brady, a flute player, was actually my grandfather. But they were the people in the area, and I mentioned them because that's what hands on the tradition, those ordinary musicians in the local areas. That's what hands on the tradition, and that's what, they were the people that influenced Peter, so that by the time he was a bit of a teenager, he was able to play a bit on the whistle, and he could lilt loads of reels. He had loads of tunes. Next step then, he joined the Garda, and he was stationed in Oldcastle. And Peter would say that that period in Oldcastle was the most formative and influential on his life, because in that area you had the Lynch brothers, the whole Lynch family were there, so there was a bed of music in that area. But also around Oldcastle, you had a lot of West of Ireland people. The Land Commission had planted a lot of people there from Clare and Galway and so on on the Land Commission farm transfers, and they carried the language and the music with them. And of course it wasn't far up to Rathcarton either. And at that time, Peter took a great interest in the Irish language and started to learn that as well. And he got a practice set of pipes, and he says, with relentless practice, he began to get something out of them. He then got involved in the Peabody Uilleann and got tremendous help from pipers like Andy Conroy and Matt Kiernan, and he developed his skills and his style, and he would, another one in that area, Oldcastle, was Sean Maguire. And everyone knows Sean Maguire as a fiddle player, but Sean was actually passionate about the pipes, and he played the pipes, and Peter would run into Sean maybe 5 days a week, 5 times a week, and they'd be working on the piping together. And so Peter took it from there. He got involved in the Willie Clancy Week, Skel Sour Willie Clancy, first as a pupil and then as a teacher. And then he took to learn pipe making, and he learned some pipe making skills from Matt Kiernan again. And he made practice sets, half sets and full sets, and I think he will tell you the set he's playing tonight is his own set. I think, do we call it the Millennium set or the COVID set or what? Got made at that time. But he is into all of that. And we just heard Brian McNamara playing there, a very pure and skillful piper. And if we roll the mind back in 1978, I took a notion that I would come down to Mullaghorton to teach fiddle classes every week or two. And I inveigled Peter that if I came by Oldcastle, he would come with me and maybe teach pipes. And on the first Sunday, we had 25 to learn the fiddle and 2 to learn the pipes. That was Brian and Ray McNamara, who came across from Ahabas. And you see the result of that here tonight in Brian. That was their start. I will say of Peter, a very skilled piper, very pure to the tradition, and very generous with his music, both in sharing his music and sharing his skills with sets of pipes. And just as an example, years ago when we started the Gaelscoil in Balbriggan, or in Ashbourne, Peter landed out to me with a couple of sets of practice sets for the school. And of course there was no talk of money or anything like that. He gave a couple of sets to the school to get the music going. So, Peter, delighted you're getting this award tonight, the Jig of Life, and I know there's a lot of life left in you yet.
Anton McGowan, everyone. Wonderful man. We're going to play a couple of tunes now. We're going to have a couple of tunes. Brian. Set them up here again. Fintan will look after you there.
I'm glad we have Brian here because it's very lonely up here on your own. Well, we have a go Anton McGowan, I can't chara as up then na fokul dorche fuam. We have shit fear and Ianchor. He's the greatest exaggerator in the house, and that's the reality. However, I'm glad to be here, and Rogame Nias Mona, Vila Diagno Number Shin Shira Sabalia Shaw. I was born 12 miles or more from this town, and it was Sakanta Shinafurmer, Colorado Sakasa, a Fogalagams and Ish. It was in that place that I learned everything I have now, and it's not very much, but nevertheless, it's a lot for me. I first met this guy when he was wearing short trousers. He was making his way up on the whistle at the time, and I have to say you're a credit to me. I don't know what we're going to play, but we're going to try and play something. We never play together, and we never practice.
Well, while Peter's tuning, and I think you're going to play a tune on your own first, are you? Yeah, he's absolutely honest. We haven't played together. We haven't practiced, but I just say I owe so much. My whole trajectory in piping was dictated by Peter's generosity, and Anton captured that. Whether it was supplying the instrument or giving full immersion lessons, I and my brother were the beneficiaries of that. And there's nothing more, I think, great in a personality than that generosity spirit, because it's absolutely passionate about the instrument, the music, and I just feel profoundly grateful, Peter, and it's lovely to have a night here, and thanks to Martin, because this has been incubating for quite a while, and he talked to me many years ago about it, that it's come about where you get your recognition for what you passed on, and I'm just very grateful. I'm glad to be able to say that.
I'm just going to play a very short tune in almost August. Igomero le Ted Sweeney for the boss about it. I want to play a little lament for Ted Sweeney, who died a couple of weeks ago. A great friend of mine. I made a practice set of pipes for him way back in the 70s, and since then, indeed, I made pipes for his son, and he's been a great guy, a great loss to the area, and a great loss to music. I'd like to play a tune called Huina Limni or Aurana Limni, which is a tune called Limnick's Lamentation that was composed up the road here in Killincare about the end of the 17th or beginning of the 18th century by Miles O'Reilly, the harper. what do we play now? I think we might play the Grove's Hornpipe. A small little tune. 1 second.
Sweeping the cobwebs out of the sky.
Peter Dublin. Go on, you're Dr. Dublin man. Dublin way to finish up, so. Okay.
Wonderful again. Are we in the presence of wonderful music tonight? Leitrim and Cavan together. Well done, men.
This is a real Seamus Ennis used to play a lot, and Seamus, I suppose, was the one person who kept the tradition alive, and was the one person who I think that straddled two generations of fighters and two generations of music, and certainly we're the richer today because of Seamus Ennis and Seamus Ennis's music and his work.
Beautiful music. Peter and Brian, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Anton McGowan will do our presentation. No better, two Mullahore men on the one stage here. And wonderful to have it here in our company. A wonderful Brian, wonderful supporter of this. So two great men. And these are lovely pieces that were done and organised by Jimmy Scanlon. And of course, they were organised a good few months ago, and I went in to collect them today. And Jimmy says, musicians, you're going to love this. He says, I couldn't get the piper yet. He says, the piping one didn't come. He says, but he says, I put a Bowron on for tonight anyway. So Anton's telling me I have to get a Bowron statue and a knife and present both to Peter. So we have to come into Jimmy Scanlon next week and collect the piping one, but these are lovely pieces Jimmy organised. Everyone.
I hope this is deserving of me. I don't believe it is for a minute. But however, Tá mé anbuchas déobh go léir asach dúiseach an seo agus the rastal agus an artrastal an seo sa bhaile seo agus mar in the Mullahorn way. Thank you all very much. We had a great night tonight. I met great people that I hadn't seen for a long time. I met James Kelly again tonight. I hadn't seen James since I went to Seamus Ennis' funeral with James, with his father, and with Andy Conroy. And God rest them all, they're all in heaven. I was at all the funerals since. Mi hen agus James Shinny an verta tá fága. Agus níl him agus Shinny. Gur mi am hagah.
Lovely stuff. And I had the pleasure of being up in Helen and John McMahon's for tea there last weekend and telling them they were reading about it in the course of the cells. And John McMahon turned around and he says, I know Peter Maguire. So we were together up in the yards and all that. So it's great to hear that because them memories and stories continued on. And John's love of the piping as well. So this is what we do in the NYAH. We support these people. We have 2 items to go till the break. And just get in, stretch your legs. And there's a lovely bar now down the back. We have to launch 2 CDs. That's what we're going to do now because musicians bring out material and they support each other and they collect the archives. Lamont Gillespie has travelled from London originally, lives in Glasgow, especially to be here tonight to launch a wonderful album. And we call on our very special guest who's travelled from America, from Miami, himself and his wife Eve, and his daughter and his grandson. They've all travelled over to be here tonight as part of this. So it's going to be officially launched with a few words by the great James Kelly. And Lamont Gillespie will tell you about the CD as well, which will be available during the interval. Come on now, James Kelly, our very special guest, and Lamont Gillespie, 2 great fiddling men. James is on the left, and Lamont on the right, fiddle masters.
I'd like to say very honoured to have the opportunity to re-release on CD or a mastered version of Jimmy Power and Josephine Keegan's 50-odd years recording, and to launch it this evening along with James Kelly. This recording itself is now 40 years old. It is in many ways an important recording, as it was the last recording that Jimmy Power made, and demonstrates the last flowering of his music making. It was also his only collaboration with Josephine Keegan, and the music made by the meeting of these 2 great musical personalities has produced something unique and valuable. The CD contains bonus musical material and interviews with Danny Meehan, Brian Rooney and Jimmy Power's son Tom on the making of the original LP. The master tapes have been transferred by Abbey Road Studios, London, with further sound restoration work from John Blake. The CD booklet contains many unpublished photos and artwork by Jesse Smith. A little bit of background for Jimmy Power for those who may not be familiar with him. He was born in Waterford in 1918 and was encouraged to play music by his Gaelic-speaking grandmother, Stacia Donnelly, and his uncle Pat Donnelly, who played the pipes. He heard Liam Walsh playing at open-air feshes when growing up and became friendly with Liam Walsh's student, Tommy Carney. Upon arriving in London, he met Michael Gorman, who was to have a great impact on his playing. He also met and played with many of the great musicians then resident in London, including Bobby Casey, Martin Burns, Roger Sherlock, Willie Clancy, Julia Clifford, Jimmy Dunleavy, and a host of others. His residency at their favourite pub in Holloway Road, where he acted as an MC, calling musicians up to play, was recorded for posterity for the well-known recording Paddy in the Smoke. He was a very individual player with great rhythm, tone, and lyricism to his music making. I'd like to thank Martin Donoghue and the NYAH Festival for their great hospitality and for organising and facilitating this launch. And would like once again to say how privileged I am to be involved with this recording. And would now like to hand you over to James Kelly.
Thanks very much. The good news is that on Le Mans' one page he has 5 paragraphs, and I have 6 pages here, and Le Mans has more words on his one page than I have on my 6 pages, so that's the good news. So when I was young, I first heard Jimmy Power's music on recordings he made in London. I thought he was a great player. Jimmy Power, like myself and so many other musicians, learned a lot of his music from recordings, many that were made in the US. He also learned music from his grandmother, Stacia Donnelly, and his uncle Pat, as Le Mans mentioned. Many of the recordings that Jimmy Power would have listened to were 78 RPM records featuring the great Sligo fiddlers who lived in New York in the early 1900s, Michael Coleman, James Morrison, and Paddy Killorn. And Michael Coleman was one of the main influences on Jimmy Power's musical life. The technology over the years, of course, changed. And 1 down, 5 to go. So moving on to the present day, when I got a copy of the CD from Le Mans, I actually wasn't sure about the recording because Le Mans sent it to me, and I was delighted to see that the recording was music made by Jimmy Power. So as I was saying, when I got a copy of the CD from Le Mans, I was extremely delighted to see that many of the recordings on the particular CD, aside from Jimmy Power's great fiddling, were made with the legendary musician Josephine Keegan. I've listened to Josephine's music as accompanist fiddler and composer throughout my life, and I wasn't disappointed for 1 second once I started to listen to these 2 great musicians at work. Josephine is also a great fiddler and has released 5 albums herself, and she's also a wonderful composer and a great fiddle player. So just a little bit about Jimmy Power's fiddle playing. Jimmy Power, and it's very hard to describe in other musicians' music. It's something that you kind of understand, but very hard to put into words. So Jimmy Power's music was very melodic. He was a very melodic fiddle player. He had a very nice staccato pausing in his playing, as well as short and crisp triplets. He used lovely runs and staccato stepping in his tunes. His playing was very rhythmic, and he played at a nice and comfortable listening pace. He didn't use speed to give the tunes lift, but rather his bowing and his own creativity in the tunes created the lift and interest. He wasn't afraid to tackle a variety of keys. He could play in F, and he could play in B flat, and so on. Now, I also admired his bow directions, and it might be something more special to fiddle players in particular, but I suppose many fiddlers would listen to bow directions. And I really admired Jimmy Power's system of bowing, because an awful lot of the bow directions that he used in his music made sense to me. I suppose that's why I liked his bow directions, but anyway, he obviously put an awful lot of thought into that. Noteworthy in his playing is a deep respect and love for the slow music, and he includes 2 lovely slow airs in the recording as well. So, I've always felt that in order to find one's musical self, it is very important to have a strong musical connection to the past. Choice, approach, style of tune, ornamentation and variation, as well as feeling, soulfulness, tempo, and a sense of reverence and respect for the tradition. Always working from within and realizing that the journey is from the past through the present and into one's musical future. And all these aspects are displayed in abundance on this recording.
So finally, it's an honour and a privilege to stand before you this evening and say these few words in support of this wonderful recording of Irish traditional music. Just on a side note, I would like to say a special thank you to Lamont Gillespie. Himself is a great fiddle player, he's a great classical violin player and teacher, and he's a man who has a great passion for this culture, and I suppose in particular in fiddle playing, but for the culture in general and the traditional music. And he goes to the trouble of doing all this research and gathering the information and producing these recordings. So he produced a recording of the great fiddler from Galway, Martin Burns, a couple of years ago, and now he's produced another very, very important recording of Jimmy Power, and he's also working on a recording in the future by another great Sligo musician by the name of John Veazey, a fiddle player. So how about we give Lamont Gillespie a big round of applause. Well, thanks, Lamont. And finally, we're going to declare that 50 years revisited, featuring music by Jimmy Power and Josephine Keegan, is officially launched this evening.
Lovely to have both these men here today from Glasgow and all the way from Miami, Florida. School of us, so wonderful to have James and Lamont. Lamont will have to play us a tune now. He said he'd play us a tune. A wonderful, wonderful man. He spent 2 years profiling and the preparation and contacting people and reading up and checking and cross-checking, all that to bring this CD out, and it'll be available during the break. For lovers of music, and there's lots of them there, from Auntie Mary and Brendan and Mullingar right across to Vanessa and all the people there from Derry Gonley. I know you'd love to get your hands on this. So I'm going to say, wonderful to have a couple of tunes now, a selection from Lamont Gillespie, everybody, all the way from Glasgow, London born, fell under the spell of Brendan Mulcair. And of course, he made his music one of the early TV shows on Bring Down the Lamp. I remember watching him under the direction of Tony McMahon. But very special now at this stage to be able to present this music. We'll have an interval and a break then. We're going to launch a second CD then after this. We have a quartet. So you're in for a treat tonight. And then in the second half, we have a wonderful family gathering, the O'Connor clan. And they have a bus. There was a car outside the hotel earlier. I think it brought half of them in it. It held about 15 of them. And we have them all to come on stage, all ages. And it'll be great because in respect to Mick O'Connor, they have just full of music. They're full of it. And Mick, every part of him, every DNA is coming through tonight. And we're so special to have Mick. And then James Kelly to perform for you in the second half. So we'll have a break. So is Lamont ready, boys? Have we Lamont there? Maybe he's not. He is. Look at him. He come all the way from Glasgow to be here with us tonight. A wonderful fiddle master. Albums of him own, recording, duet and trio. Apart from the hours he spends, hours sitting, listening and bringing back this old music, digitising it in Abbey Road. So a selection of your favourite there. Lamont Gillespie, everybody.
Thank
Fishing Holland, wasn't that lovely now? Lamont Gillespie, and the wonderful, wonderful work he's doing to bring these old recordings out again and issue them again, and we all get a chance to hear all those old recordings. So Cohordichas Moore, Lamont, this James Kelly, Bhí Lieben Shin Freshen. Now we have another treat for you. Fishing Holland, Cahal Lynch, Ekval, Stáitse, agus chulhfuir haga me gná bíon Cahal a Golín, agus a Casa Chadoran. He's a great friend of the NYAH, Cahal Lynch. Every time I come to Cavan, I meet Cahal, and he's always singing at the NYAH. And I first met him, I think, in 2010 when the Flacchiole was here. The best Flacchioles were always in Cavan, weren't they, Martin Donoghue? Yay! So he's making a bid for bring it back now after Belfast. 2 years, he said. So Cahal is a great man for collecting songs, and he's got another CD to launch here tonight. You'll be able to buy it during the interval as well. He's gathered together songs from Uriel, and he put them together on a CD called Taifshe Uriela. So Taifshe is what we would call a puka, or a spirit, or a ghost. That's the translation for Taifshe. So I haven't heard it yet now, so we'll I'm sure they're lovely, but they're going to launch it here tonight, and on stage here with them, he's got 3 fine musicians. We have Seamus O'Rohan, we all know Seamus, Oscar Saura Willie Clancy, agus Obed Intacha Yana Eg Seamus, and Shin Estrad na Caracha Gundain Floyd, agus in Shaheen, agus an Kushta in Shin Gober Gadian, La Hai Skull Saura a Fall, one of the earliest Skull Saura. Willie Clancy and Seamus O'Rohan. His dad was the man that started it, and Seamus is here tonight playing the pipes. And to accompany Cahal here as well, we have Alan Hughes, and we have Hawk Steinberg here as well, and they're accompanying him on the CD. So we wish them well with the CD. Cahal, Cohordichas Lath, agus they will finish this half of the concert for you tonight. So Bullabus Mormizach, Cahal Lynch, Seamus O'Rohan, Alan Hughes, and this Hawk Steinberg.
Gurmina Mahgav, Sosson of Makla Kupla Marshall on Ballychan on Luke Donnan. We'll start off with a couple of marches that was from the Luke Donnan collection, and Luke would have collected mainly around Monaghan, Cavan, and a bit maybe in Armagh around the turn of the 19th, early 20th century. So like kind of before the recording era he kicked off, and they were originally published in Pádraig Guinea Hooligan's book, A Hidden Ulster, in quite some time ago, and then they were more recently put in a book Jerry O'Connor put together of the Rose and the Gap. So these first two are from Luke Donnan's collection. And the first one is Wellington's Advance, and the second one is General Moore's Quickstep.
That's cool.
I knew there's a connection between them, but how could I discover it? But I let him tell you that.
Well, we don't really know, but Moore and Wellington were both active in the Peninsular War against Napoleon there in Spain. So it seems it just was a funny coincidence that Seamus put these two together, but maybe there is a connection there. We pretend there is anyway here.
Well, I'm going to sing a song here. But first of all, it's great to be here tonight in Cavan once again as part of the NYAH and to be invited by Martin Donoghue, a good friend of mine, or not a good friend, but my best friend for a number of years now. The song I'm going to sing here this evening is a song called The Maid of Maheracloon. And Maheracloon is in County Monaghan, the part of the Oriel region. And I first heard the song, or first saw the song in written form in a book called Folk Songs Sung in Ulster, which was a book that was published in 1969-1970 by a man called Robin Morton. And Robin was from Portadown in County Armagh, and sadly Robin passed away a couple of years ago. He's a very good friend of mine. But the book was, I suppose, if you call it, Bible for many Ulster singers and traditional singers in general over the last 50 years or whatever. But the book was reissued a couple of years ago and it's available online. And then, of course, I heard the song sang, I suppose, 15, 20 years ago in an hotel called the Carlton Hotel in Balleek. I'm sure you know it, it's now closed in Fermanagh. And it was sung by the great Cathal McConnell. And Cathal's a great flute player, singer, raconteur, the whole lot. So when I heard the song, I just had to learn it. So I'll have a wee go at it tonight, and the lads are going to accompany me here. So we're just back from a tour of the Caribbean, so just we're a bit rusty tonight, you know. So I'll have a go at it here anyway. So The Maid of Maheracloon. Ye maidens all, both great and small, come listen unto me, till I relate, oh, my cruel fate of my sad destiny. I was courted by a fair young lad, but alas, he has proved my ruin, and he leaves me here with a broken heart on the hills of Maheracloon. Oh, many's a pleasant hour I spent behind yon hawthorn listening to his merry tales of innocence and glee. Where is the hand that used to pluck the flowers in full bloom and entwine them in the golden curls of the Maid of Maheracloon? Oh, it's many's a pleasant hour I spent behind yon unknown blinds, listening to his merry tales and the moaning of the wine, the falling of the autumn leaves upon the pavement strewn, reminds me when we used to meet on the hills of
I blame him not, the fault is mine, and the truth I will confess. For on my bed of torment I lay my troubled breast. To other boys I give my love, both morning, night, and noon, which leaves me here with a broken heart on the hills of Aberclue. Thank you.
NYAH Cavan. We'll finish off with the 3 reels. Again, these will be from the Luke Donnan collection. The first one is called The Drunken Reels, right? And the second one is
Also known as The Drunken Tailor.
Oh. Did you want to finish the...
No. Seamus gave me sleeve notes for this after the research, and what he written was, these are 3 reels from the Donnelly collection, and we like them.
No, I never said I liked the second one. The second one's called, is it Miss Butler, isn't it? And the last one is...
Also known as A Bunch of Currants.
Oh, very good. I don't know what that bit through it all now. And the last one is called McKenna's. Is there another name for that?
In Ulster, it's also known as The Old Swallow's Tail.
But you should watch Hauke very closely during this one, because he's going to unleash his full bag of tricks at some point. Like, so just keep an eye on him. Like, he's likely to pull anything out.
Careful now.
Marina Margaret.
Oh yeah, it's a CD launch actually. So we have CDs. We have one here, but there's more, I think, at the front, yeah, where there's a little shop and you can buy them there. You should buy them actually.
Please buy them, because I have 2 children at home that need fare. Please, please.
Thank you.
Gurmila Margaret. Thank you.
Wonderful treat there, and as I say, that CD is available, and the lovely music there that Le Mans put together as well. And Mirish, you think we have a hard job organising this? His dad, Mirish Arukan, a wonderful man from the Skull Soura, and Eamon now, and Shiv to come along and to continue that trend. And all the online booking is open now for Skull Soura, Willie Clancy as well. So if you're getting down there, lots of people here, all go down. Look forward to that week in July, and that team work together to make it happen. So we're going to have a break. We'll have to get the Mick O'Connor Orchestra up on stage next. So give us about 15 minutes to get them all set up. We'll have a break, you can have a cup of tea, and thanks to the wonderful Shane and the team up there doing a wonderful job, and come back to us in about 15 minutes. This is Mick O'Connor Orchestra. He's going to tell you all about it. He's one of our recipients of the Jig of Life, but there's nothing that I can say about Mick O'Connor that every musician behind me knows. They all know how important he is and still is. A new publication to be brought out this year, and a good friend of ours, Killishandra's Martin Gaffney, working with him. But Mick O'Connor is a legend. And in our case, we talk about the past, he's a living legend. So that's even more important. From my early days of travelling to Dublin, and when we were bringing in these youngsters, some of the Aoifes and the concertinas and Liam's and the brothers coming in to play in the competitions, and he'd say to them, give it good and lively. Don't know who likes it good and lively. I remember him saying that to us at the Dublin Flag, because he knew I liked them enjoying the music. And the lovely music, that album he recorded, and of course his friendship with Tom Davis. For probably 20 years, Tom has been down this road with us between Flas. And Tom was the great Tom, the man that recorded everything. He'd be up there long before Nancy was here or anyone else. So the Macklins doing the lovely video, and Tom was here, and he was so important. And of course, Mick appreciated him and loved him. And now Irish Tradition Archive, ITMA, that Liam is director of, they have managed to broadcast that lovely material now and make it available freely for people to hear. We know Tom Davis, he's loved by many down that room. And of course the Queen of Leg herself, Maureen and young Gerard Gorman here, they know the importance of the drum list sessions, and Tom Davis and Jerry Gorman and all them people. So I'm going to leave you with Mick O'Connor. He'll take it away for the next 20 minutes or half an hour. We're in great company. Mick O'Connor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Martin, for your kind words. And I'm really honoured to be here and given this award, because I have a great regard for you and all the work that your committee have done over the years, and it's very important, and you could see the ethos here about passing it on. And I'm privileged here to be here with my family with 3 generations, and it's a wonderful thing, because you know, there's no ageism in Irish traditional music. People are not concerned what you do, and you make friends for life. So that's the essence of my philosophy, anyhow, and it's a great thing to behold. So, and I know it's the same for all the other families. You saw the McNamara's there, and I see the Rostums here too, and Anton McGowan. So it's a great privilege, and I feel so fortunate to have that. So we're going to start off with a selection of jigs. Humorous amount of Steinman for Anne, my lovely wife and producer here of all this gang. And we played then a piping tune called Hag with the Churn. So, Gurmila Margaret.
Oh yeah, we're gonna play a couple of reels now called Lucky in Love. Dad recorded an album with Charlie Lennon, who sadly passed away earlier this year. We finally remember Charlie. Was last June actually, wasn't it? And with Dad and Charlie recorded an album called Lucky in Love. And it's a bit cheesy to dedicate the first two selections to your good wife at this stage. Of course, yeah. I was over in Edinburgh a year ago. Colin McConnell had all these great ideas after lockdown for tunes, and he had composed one, Unlucky in Love. It was a minor version of this Lucky in Love.
We'd like to dedicate this to Sergio's teacher, Michelle, who's here with her sister, two proud Cavan women. Thanks for coming along.
Our next selection of tune is going to be by the two pipers here, Limo and Killian. They're going to play Parnell's March, and then we're all going to join them for two reels, Mrs. Green's and Mrs. Crotty's, two concertina players from County Clare. Hope you enjoy.
Sorry. We'll play a tune composed for Piper Pádraig McNahuna. He was very good doctor to Dad at one stage during the lockdown, and got
I would be boxed slowly for Pádraig. I'm tested for life.
I might get boxed myself if I don't keep introducing this one. So a hop jig after that, associated with playing of Bladderburn, and the Fox Hunter's Reel. I suppose a very well known tune these days, but I think when Dad and Sean Keane travelled down to West Clare, to Cree, to Patrick Kelly in the 60s, it wasn't a well known tune at that stage. And yeah.
So
Liam's solo now, so we're putting her up to him. By the way, I just want to mention to you that a lot of the people here on stage, it's the first time playing on stage, so it's been hard on them, so give them a round of applause for the first time.
Tell us who they are, Mike, will you? Introduce them to us.
Of course, yeah. It's Liam Oak starting here. Pipes, Killian, Aoife. I'm the elf, in case you didn't guess. Liam, Tom, Sergio, Shifra, Dorok, Neve, Ela, Tig, and Dua. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And it's Aoife's birthday today.
Yeah,
She wants to.
Thanks a million to yourselves for welcoming us, and particularly I'd like to thank Martin for all these occasional fortune that he's shown us as we come. It's the first time that we've been here, and hopefully it's not the last. Thank you very much. And we'd like to finish up now with thanks to Elder Trumpet, and then we'll follow with two reels, the Eden Derry reel and Hanley's. Thank you.
Neil Margaret. Okay, congratulations, great stuff there. Great stuff, all the O'Connors. And just a little word about Mick. Now, I could give you a lecture on Mick. A long lecture. But anyway, can't do a long lecture, so just a few little points about the man and his music. Mick was born and reared and grew up in the Liberties in Dublin. And what many people mightn't know is that there was plenty of music in Dublin. The Liberties area, you had musicians there, and you had the Pipers Club in Thomas Street just around the corner. And plenty of music in Dublin at that time. Tommy Reck, the Potts, the Rowsums, plenty of music in Dublin. And that's something that Mick was very proud of, that there was a good, strong tradition of music in the central Dublin area at that time. And in his younger days then he joined the Fintan Lawler Pipe Band, playing the pipes, and that led him to traditional music and the uilleann pipes and the flute playing, and he got some help from the great Sligo flute player John Egan, who was in the Church Street Club at the time. And of course they used to go to Thomas Street and Church Street, all of those. And then through school in the 1960s he became friends and came across James Keane and Sean Keane, and they started playing music together, and they had a little band in the school and so on. But running forward, that led to the formation of the Castle Cayley Band, what we know as the Great Castle Cayley Band, because it was a tremendously influential band. And it was probably new on the scene at the time, because at that time Cayley bands, they were playing a lot of simple music, a lot of polka music and so on. And the Eamon Cant Cayley Band was there. They played reels and jigs, but not many bands actually played reels and jigs. And here came the Castle with great quality musicians, and Mick was meticulous in the tunes that he selected and the way he put them together for the band. And this became very, very influential, and I know that I was influenced by it at the time, because I was in Dublin at the time and I was sitting watching them and listening to them. And when I came teaching music and teaching a young Cayley band myself, I was very influenced by what I had learned from listening to the Castle Cayley Band. Nick, in his style as a flute player, he has a great lift in his music. And we soldiered together for a lot of years playing in the Abbey Tavern. And I can tell you that when Mick comes in on the flute, he doesn't just play the note like the rest of us. He has a way of getting under the note. And you get that great lift and that great rhythm coming in the music. And in his working life, he was a master printer. He worked in the Central Remedial Clinic, and he took a great interest in the old styles of printing and the old Celtic print and the old skills that went with that. And you can take it that he was called on all the time by musicians, and he worked on the design and production and printing of several music books and CDs, whatever it was. Even our wedding invitations were printed by Mick back then. So he has always been passionate about the music and preserving the music, and he has probably the greatest collection of old archival photographs of the old musicians. He has probably the greatest collection that you would find in Ireland of all of that, and I know that that's in the process of publication and being brought together at the moment, and I hope that we will see that soon. That is on the way, and that will be a gem of the traditional music. He has been great at sharing his knowledge, because his knowledge of the music is immense. And he has worked as a lecturer and teacher for many years at the Scoil Sour of Willie Clancy, at the Scoil Éigse at Flaco and Naherden, and at many, many other events. And he has given lectures on various musicians and topics at the Scoil Willie Clancy for many, many years.
and he has acted as an advisor to many music organisations. He has made recordings, he's been on numerous TV and radio shows, he's made recordings with Sean Keane, with Charlie Lennon, and so on, and you see his family all around him here tonight. But just to sum it up, as a flute player, an archivist, a researcher, and what I would call a music historian, his contribution to the music has been enormous, both as a player, both as playing and studying and preserving the music. And I was going to say tonight, what a great scene to see the multiplication from one man. And then I thought, no, that's not it, because Anne had a big hand in that. Thank you, Anne. So, Mick, just to conclude on it, Mick, a few years ago, was awarded the Grotham Ceol by T.G. Cahir. And we just thought, fair play to Martin Donohoe. The only other thing he hasn't got is a Cavan Award. Man, Mick, go gorgeous.
Go gorgeous, go gorgeous.
Eamon McGivney will present it. Yeah, Eamon McGivney doing the presentation here.
Thank you very much, Anton McGowan, another of our prized historians, and he done his own great book. But Mick, we can look forward to this. Eamon, of course, part of our NYAH a long time, himself and Joanne, great friends of the festival. Just go to the middle there for a wee photograph. The pair is there. Declan is doing a wee photograph. Part for another photograph for his archive. Just a bit to the left, Mick. Just a bit more. It's just the light. You have to go over that way there a wee bit, Eamon. He can only get one of your chins. He can only get one of your chins. He has to get the two of them. Hang on. Up Granard and up to Dublin. The great Mick O'Connor, everybody. Wonderful man, wonderful family. 13 of the best. 13 of the best here tonight. Thank you, Eamon. Congratulations. And Ma down there and all. The family are complete. Wonderful people. Wonderful people. Okay, we have a few more tunes to go here. We're getting Martin Murphy there. Thanks very much, Martin's getting the drum set up while we're getting up there. Good man, Martin, is happening. And we have Eamon McGivney on the fiddle, and we have Philip Clark on the accordion, Fintan McManus, and we blast the wee tunes here from around the house. I'll get ready for James, and here none of the boys are. Peter. So Philip Clark is going to start us off here. Philip, of course, Master Clark, spent a great couple of years now bringing out two great tune books, and he's going to do two of his own tunes. As well as the old tunes, there's new tunes, and Philip has been writing these tunes right up to his 70th year. I wouldn't like to say what age he is, but right up to his 70th year. And Fintan's having a big birthday now in May. We're all invited to Belturbet in Anne's house for his 70th birthday. So between the two of them, they're 150 years of age. So a bit on the piano accordion. Philip, a master man. Tell us about these two tunes.
Just when the lads are setting up, I don't think I'd be out here playing if it was left to me, but Martin said, you've composed some tunes, he said, and you have to go out there and play them. So I couldn't refuse Martin because I have great respect for Martin and all the work that he does and all the rest. And he told me to play a waltz that I've composed, and he told me to play a march that I've composed. So I will do that because you have to obey. The waltz is one that I wrote years ago, and I just called it Loch Sheelan my home because I'm living on the shores of Loch Sheelan. And the march, I'll go straight from the waltz into the march. The march is one that's called An Corbalig, which means a roundabout in Irish. And just to fill you in how it came about would be that a fellow called John Fox, who's down there in the audience, and myself went over to buy a car in Birmingham. I'd say it was about 30 years ago, and no mobile phones, no nothing like that, but the car was bought all right, and we drove down, got it, and John disappeared at the spaghetti junction, or whatever you call it, and I never saw him. He took off, and we were left at Holyhead for ages trying to find each other. And in the meantime, while I was waiting on him to come, I wrote this march, or the bones of the march anyway, out of my head as best I could, because I needed one for the Breffni Kelly band. So that's how it came about, and it's been actually played. I thought nothing of it, but it actually ended up being played by a good few of the Kelly bands at Flacyola here. So these are not rehearsed. I don't think we haven't played together or anything like this, so it's warts and all. Okay.
Boyer says he can't come here tonight and not
All right, well, Peter wanted me to play The Rainy Day. Hope I can remember it, it's a long time, but it was played around Mullahoran, and I think mentioned by my grandfather in a poem he wrote about my mother when she was going to America. And he was writing about the dances in the Crossroads Hall at Middletown there in Mullahoran. So The Rainy Day, if we get through it.
Especially for Peter there. Lovely Antone. And of course, we'll play a couple of jigs. Eamon McGibney's favourite out tunes here. Jim Ward's, with a great Clare connection up Jim Ward's. And we'll go into the Ramblin' Pitchfork. So 2 out jigs here. Daithí Connington has joined us, a great friend of James Kelly and of ours. He was with us last night. We had great conversation. And he's a great friend of the real tradition. Martin Murphy's in the back line there, on the drums all the way from Longford. Karen McMahon on the guitar. And of course, Fintan, who's been working all night, joining us. So a couple of jigs. Philip Clark will go over to the keyboard. He's hiding behind the wall there, but he is there. And I'll keep her going with a wee tune, an Ed Reevy tune, A Lent in the Glen, and then another wee tune from that then that Bonnie Ann. It was one of the first tunes I heard the great James Kelly play many years ago down in Corrani, down in Fermanagh, and I didn't have a name on the tune, and I recorded it at the time with the late Paddy Kelly, called it the Corrani Reel, but it's better known as Bonnie Ann. So a couple of reels. First one, Ed Reevy's a lovely tune called The Lane to the Glen. Well, that's it. We'll finish up with a great old tune, a popular session tune in Cavan. The Queen of Leg is down there, Mung Maureen, and Jerry Gorman would have played this for years with me in the sessions all around Arwood, Drumnishmo, well, George White's. And then we'll have to do a favourite of ours. Anton and myself recorded it many years ago, The Humours of Ballyconnell. Thanks very much. And we have James Kelly waiting in the back there. I can see him. He's tuning up. We're going to bring out the man that's travelled the furthest tonight with his family, all the way from Miami, Florida, everybody. The renowned, the legend, the professor. We could call him the professor because there's not much he hasn't seen, heard, or knows about the real music. Wonderful James Kelly, everybody, here in Cavan tonight. A great friend of the real tradition. Welcome, James.
The night is getting late. So there's a lot of musical friends on the stage this evening, and I have friends in the audience, my family's in the audience, and the night is moving on, so I'll keep it short and sweet. Mick O'Connor mentioned his book. He's a new book that's coming out soon, and hopefully it'll be ready for the Willie Clancy Week. But anyway, he mentioned Sean Keane, and I'll remember Sean Keane in these first two tunes, Gusty's Frolics, and the second one is Sally Hegarty. And when I was 7, 8, 9, 10, I used to go up to the Castle Cayley Band rehearsals with my father. Tony Smith mentioned the Castle Cayley Band earlier on, and Mick O'Connor and Sean Keane, the two founding members of the Castle Cayley Band. So I could go up to the house of Bridie Lafferty and sit in the room quietly, and I'd look around the room and listen to all this great music that was played. And I could look over at Mick O'Connor and look at Sean Keane and John Dwyer, my father, Joe Ryan, Michael Tuberty. Thanks very much. I don't know where those tunes come from, but for some reason the second one feels like it's a Donegal tune. I may be completely wrong, but I keep thinking it's a Donegal tune. So another time in my life, a little bit later on, I'll just go forward and go backwards again to about the age of, let's say, 14 or 15, and I was down in Abbeyfield with my father at this gathering in Abbeyfield. It was a musical weekend, and my father was involved in there was competitions, and he was one of the adjudicators. So I was with him, and in the company was Dennis Murphy and Julia Clifford and Michael Mulcahy and Nicky McAuliffe. So I would stand off to the side of the stage and see the activities, competitions, and then my father on stage with the other musicians. But eventually I was invited up to join them for a few tunes, and I remember looking across. I was on one corner and I looked across at all these musicians, Johnny O'Leary and Dennis Murphy and my father, and a gust of wind blew a long piece of wood that was supporting the canopy of this lorry that they were on, and of course it fell down on top of my father's head, and luckily enough it kind of glanced off his head. But anyway, the reason I'm telling you that story is that when I looked at Dennis Murphy, I decided at that time I'd try and make an effort to learn how to play polkas better and slides better. So I'm going to play three tunes. The first one I got from Julia Clifford, and the second one I got from Dennis Murphy, and then the last one I got from Julia Clifford, and Julia Clifford was Dennis Murphy's sister. I was always playing them like jigs, I suppose, up to that point in time, and I realised that there's a beautiful pulsing going on in the background of those tunes, polkas and slides in particular, from that part of the country. And so in order to do them justice, you have to bring in the pulse into those tunes and listen to the movement of the notes and that. It's beautiful. So finally, I'll play one more. Martin, is that okay? One more. Sorry? Hornpipe, please. Hornpipe. Close to a hornpipe. Thanks very much. So I'll play two reels for you. So I want to dedicate these tunes to my wife Eve and my daughter Sarah, my grandson Neelan, and my great friend Dahi Connaughton, who's up here on the stage. This selection, and also I have a lot of great friends in the audience and here backstage this evening. John Regan is down there, and Bernie Smith. Bernie Murphy, and a lot of other great people who are here. So I'll dedicate it to everybody here. And I would like to remind you that when I was 12, Tony Smith adjudicated me in a competition, in the Oireachtas competition. I don't know where Tony is. Here's Tony here. Yeah, so when I was 12, Tony adjudicated me, and my father, he gave me a great pointers and pace, talked about the pace and the variation and the part. Maybe I'll play that at the first Tony before I play those reels. How about that? So this is not, we called it Apples in Winter, but it's not Apples in Winter. It's the jig before Apples in Winter. I can't remember the name, but I'll play that for Tony and Bernie, and then I'll play those two reels for you. Lastly, a very, very special thanks to Martin Donoghue, his wife Angela, and all the people involved in this wonderful festival. And their hospitality and their kindness and generosity is really extraordinary. I'm very, very grateful to be asked to be here, and I'm so impressed by how natural and the welcome that we got, and also how honest they are, the great people to be with and to deal with. I wish everybody I ever met in my life was the same. So thanks very much to Martin Donoghue, his wife Angela, and all the people here at the festival. And thanks to you for coming along this evening as well. So this is the jig I played for Tony Smith, and then I'll play the reels. Thanks very much.
What a wonderful performance. The master at work here, everybody. James Kelly, what a man. And I'm going to call on our great friend and a great man here to do the presentation. Come out to the front here. Liam O'Connor will do the job for us. Liam, of course, from the world of fiddling. No better two men know more about it to be here tonight. So we're just so lucky to have James and his family. Thanks very much to Eve and to Sarah and the young grandson to come here, everybody. James Kelly, everybody, the Jiggy Life Award here, presented by Liam O'Connor from the ITMA. You can check them out online. Well done, lovely. Just go to the front. You want to get to the front there. Come on out to the front. And everybody else, thanks us very much. We have our big concert once a year. And thanks to the staff here, they've done overtime here tonight for us. But it was worth it, because in the years to come, we look back at this wonderful recordings. The Macklin team are here since the Fla days, delivering great recordings. So we'll have a great memento. And of course, we're very thankful to Nancy Nacushla, who's recorded it all for Radio na Gaeltacht. Very important for our presence here as well. And all the musicians just love her and what she encourages throughout the year. So we've had them all here tonight, from Marion Crowe, our first recipient, Peter Maguire, Mick O'Connor, and now James Kelly. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great St. Patrick's weekend. There's still the last few CDs there if you haven't got one. And we're going out to the Kilmore Hotel for a few hours.